Honda first came to India 16 years ago. The sleek and sporty profile of the first generation City fired up the Indian imagination and the demand for reliable and rewarding Honda hardware. A complete metamorphosis saw the City don a more practical role in its second generation. Despite that, the appeal and the value of the Honda badge only increased. The third generation City also changed drastically, but it was Honda's most well-rounded package yet. Although it remained Honda's star performer, the lack of a diesel motor hit the company and the City hard. But as the third generation City chugged along to the finish line, Honda was readying this: their 1.5-litre diesel motor for India. While the engine debuted in the Amaze, you can be sure its true potential will be unlocked in the nose of this, Honda's 4th generation City.
So can the City now lead the charge in its segment? We've got the car for a quick drive. I think at the end of it, we should have a good idea about that.
This new machine is quite an attention grabber. Once you squint past that glaring band of chrome, you'll notice the slim, almost delicate headlights. It also has that arrowhead profile that was seen on the last generation of the City. This Honda also looks bigger and sits more confidently on the ground. The long slash on the side makes it immediately distinctive. The rear looks fantastic, with slim lamps that squeeze onto the boot.
So you might look at the skin, look at the overall length and think that this car is based off the third generation Honda City, but that would be very wrong. If you look at the wheelbase, this is longer, about 50 millimeters more, and at the same time, despite the wheels having gone further apart, this is stiffer than the outgoing car. So it's stronger, but at the same time, it is also lighter. So there's some really clever engineering under that skin.
When you get inside, it feels like the City has been stretched by 50 centimeters, not millimeters.
Wow! I mean, seriously, wow! This back seat is very impressive. It's phenomenal, really. I mean, just look at the knee room available here, and that's set to my driving position in the front. It's fantastic, feels nice and wide. Seat base, just look at it, it's extending all the way to my knee. There's good support, so really comfortable back seat. You've got air conditioning vents at the rear, and you have 2 power outlets as well at the back. So all in all, really a very impressive back seat.
And Honda is trying to wow the people in the front seat too.
Honda's been getting a lot of flack for the interiors of their cars, and with this new City, is it any different? Yes, a big change here. You can see the design, smart, looks upmarket. There's this nice silver T running across the dash. There's this piano black finish, a 5-inch LCD display, a touch screen control for your air conditioning system, which works really nicely. You have this big display for the driver. The steering wheel feels nice, chunky and very nice. Controls well damped.
The steering wheel also has controls for your telephone, which means you have Bluetooth connectivity. It also has USB and auxiliary in. There is a sunroof too. The seats are also spacious and comfortable for many kilometers of driving. So, while the cabin is well equipped and well spec'd, it does feel a bit awkward in places. The LCD display looks small in its black surround. The touchscreen panel looks a bit foggy, and softer plastics would have really hit the spot. However, Honda has hit the spot with their engine lineup. There is a 1.5-litre petrol and a 1.5-litre diesel motor for you to choose from.
So can you guess which engine I'm driving right now?
Yep, it's the diesel. And the noise is really quite apparent in the cabin. Better sound insulation was expected for the diesel motor, especially since engine noise had been an issue in the Amaze as well. The engine itself has been carried over unchanged to the city. Well, except for one thing. Now the gearbox on the city is basically the one from the Amaze with an additional gear. It's got 6 gears. The first 5 gears are identical to the Amaze. Even though this car is roughly 45 kilograms lighter than the previous generation, it is still 90 kilos heavier than the Amaze. So, a shorter ratio is used for the final drive, and this extracts a bit more zing from the 20.4 kilograms of torque. There is a hint of turbo lag, but power starts building well under 2000 RPM, and once you get to that point, there's just one clean pull, very linear power delivery. It's very easy to drive. The 6th gear will be a big boon for cruising on the highway while just sipping lightly on diesel. In fact, Honda claim that the city's i-DTEC motor will be the most fuel-efficient car in the country, with a claimed figure of 26 kilometers to a liter of diesel. Sure, this diesel engine is going to hog a big chunk of the sales, but true Honda fans will no doubt be keen on the petrol. The good news is that the 1.5 liter i-VTEC motor has been carried over virtually unchanged. So you have 116 bhp of power and 14.8 kilograms of torque. Light tweaks to the intake and i-VTEC system has improved performance at low speeds. This petrol motor is really quite flexible. In 4th gear, 20 kilometers an hour in the city, it can amble around, put your foot down, and it does step forward nicely. The motor remains as free revving and as thrilling to drive as ever. Also on offer with the petrol motor is an automatic transmission. This time it is a CVT. I also drove the CVT variant briefly, and there's a really nice point about it, and that is the responsiveness at low speeds. So in the city, it will really step forward nicely without any hesitation, and that is a big plus point. Even when you hit the highway, you'll find that it does have a little bit of the rubber band effect, but it can go. And what strengthens its appeal is that it is claimed to be even more fuel efficient than the manual. Now finally, the dynamics. Although the city continues to use McPherson struts at the front and a twist beam at the rear, these have been extensively redesigned for the new platform. I was expecting the ride to be quite supple. However, at low speeds on broken roads, the city felt stiff and bumpy. Although it does get much better once you get past the 40 to 50 kilometer mark. Now the ride quality doesn't feel softer when you're going at low speeds over bumps, but what I found was that this suspension does manage to mask broken roads really quite well. And the city proved to be quite adept around winding sections too. Well, it may not be sporty, but its dynamics are pretty nice. Body movement was controlled and predictable, and there was strong bite from the brakes. Despite the tires being those skinny tires with low rolling resistance, this car still has a fair amount of grip. The smooth and linear electric steering also added to the pleasure of driving the city. So Honda's 4th generation city is here, and quite clearly it is a more mature, more grown up, really well-rounded package. This car right now, the variants aren't fixed yet when we've driven the car here, but we do know that ABS will be offered across the range. There will be a single airbag on the base variant and dual airbags above that. When you look at the boot, it's got a lot of space. Yeah, there has been some cost cutting, like there's no cladding on the inside of the boot, and there are no height adjustable seat belts as well. But all in all, really a strong package, and what really gives it a lot of strength are its engines. This 4th generation city is really a very strong package and is expected to be priced to take on its competition head on
on as well when it is launched in January 2014.